January the 15th, 1943. 0512 a.m. Bath. Iron Works. Prefabrication Shed. Number 3. The heavy sliding doors groan open, spilling light across the icy gravel outside. Inside, the heat strikes the workers like a wall. Furnaces roar, welders spark, cutting torches hiss. The whole place glows orange, like the inside of a steel volcano. Carleton steps in first, boots echoing across the concrete. Bascombe follows, suspicious but curious, the Union men flanking him. Lieutenant Commander Peterson stays close behind, hands stuffed deep in his coat. Carleton walks to the center of the floor, where massive steel components sit in various stages of construction. Bulkheads lean against support columns. Engine room framing sprawls across sawhorses. A prefabricated deckhouse, its portholes already cut, is suspended from chains like a giant steel cube. Carleton climbs a small set of stairs to a catwalk overlooking the workshop. He sets the blueprints down on a crate, looks over the men below, and speaks loud enough to be heard over the machinery. "Men," he begins, "you've heard rumors, and you're right. Things are going to change." A welder wipes sweat from his brow. A pipe fitter folds his arms. A riveter shifts nervously. Carleton continues, "Our ships are taking too long, not because of you. You're the best damn crews in the country. But the way we're building," he gestures toward the massive, half-made assemblies. "It's slow. It's wasteful. It's outdated." Bascombe crosses his arms tighter. Carleton looks directly at him. "Tom, you said last week that 3 crews tripped over each other trying to install hydraulic lines in the midship compartment. You weren't wrong." Bascombe grunts. "Damn right I wasn't." "Good," Carleton says, "because that ends today." He grabs the blueprint roll, slams it down, unrolls it in one fluid motion. The men step closer, eyes widening as they see a destroyer dissected into dozens of giant blocks, each highlighted, marked, and numbered. A ship built like a puzzle. A ship built like Kaiser's Liberty ships, but far more complex. Carleton taps a large rectangular block with the blunt end of his pencil. "This is Unit 14, aft living quarters." He taps another. "This is Unit 6, forward boiler room." Then another. "This is Unit 22, midship ammunition storage." And then the whole page. "Every unit we can possibly build in these sheds, we will." A murmur ripples through the workers. One man, a veteran welder named Collins, speaks first. "So you're saying we build the ship in pieces?" "No," Carleton replies. "We build the ship in finished pieces, welded, wired, fitted, painted, tested." He lets the weight of that settle. Bascombe shakes his head. "You're talking about weeks of extra prep." "No," Carleton counters. "I'm talking about hours saved. Thousands of them." He gestures toward the hull waiting outside in the slipway. "You know what slows us down? Crawling around inside that damned skeleton, trying to weld overhead, cram machinery into tight corners, squeeze through bulkhead openings. It's slow. It's dangerous. It's inefficient." He points back at the blueprint. "But here, in the sheds, we can build entire sections standing upright with cranes overhead, with everything accessible. We can work safer, faster, smarter." A younger worker raises his hand shyly. "What about shifts, sir?" Carleton straightens. 3-shift rotation. You've heard of it. We're doing it, but with something new. He picks up a clipboard filled with diagrams. Every shift will have the same structure, same roles, same responsibilities, and most importantly, he points to a bold black line. Each shift leaves behind documentation, status, material needs, progress markers, welding maps, tool logs, everything. He looks over the crew. No more stepping into chaos. No more losing half a shift just figuring out what the last one did. Peterson steps forward now. Gentlemen, this isn't about working harder. It's about working the way the Navy works. 24 hours a day, unified, coordinated, efficient. Carleton nods. A ship should never sleep, he says, and neither should its birthplace. Bascombe lifts a hand. Ernie, the men are worried. Faster means more danger, more accidents, more overtime, more broken backs and lost fingers. Carleton doesn't flinch. He walks down the stairs, boots echoing. When he reaches Bascombe, he speaks quietly enough that the workers must lean in to hear. You know me, Tom. I don't risk men. I don't cut corners. And I don't build death traps for our boys in the Pacific. He pauses. This system won't hurt your men. It'll protect them. Welding with proper angles, better ventilation, better lighting. No more squeezing into spaces the size of a coffin. No more working beneath someone else's sparks. He looks the union man in the eye. If someone gets hurt, tell me. If something isn't safe, tell me. If a unit isn't ready to be moved, tell me. This only works if we build it together. The room grows quiet. The workers exchange glances, the skepticism giving way to something else. Interest, possibility, even excitement. Finally, Bascombe exhales through his nose. All right, Carleton, show us how this works. Carleton smiles faintly. Good, because in 1 week, Unit 14 rolls out of this shed, and in 2 weeks, Unit 6 joins it. A murmur of surprise. Carleton shouts over the noise. And in 3 weeks, the first fully modular Fletcher-class destroyer begins assembly on the slip. Peterson looks at him sharply. Ernie, 3 weeks. Carleton answers without turning. We're done crawling. It's time to climb. The shed fills with renewed energy. Workers scatter towards stations. Foremen shout new orders. Welders fire up their torches. The sound becomes a rising storm of metal and resolve. Change has begun. And somewhere deep in the Pacific, American sailors who've never heard of Bath Iron Works or Ernest Carleton are about to feel the consequences. January 22nd, 1943. Bath Iron Works, Prefabrication Yard. 11:35 p.m. Floodlights bathe the yard in harsh white as snow drifts in thin, swirling sheets. The night shift is in full motion. Cranes sweeping overhead, welding arcs flickering like lightning, the sharp staccato of rivet guns echoing across the river. For the first time, the shipyard feels different. Not frantic, not chaotic, not behind. Organized, rhythmic, almost synchronized. It's been 1 week since Carleton's blueprint was unveiled. 1 week of arguments, adjustments, rewiring schedules, redrawing floor layouts, and long nights spent stamping out confusion before it could grow. And now, something unprecedented is happening. A massive steel block, Unit 14, the aft living quarters, is being lifted from its construction rig. 30 men stand around it, watching with a mixture of awe and disbelief as the overhead crane groans under its weight. It rises slowly, then steadies. Lieutenant Commander Peterson stands beside Carleton, the cold numbing his face. "I can't believe you hit the deadline," he mutters. Carleton keeps his eyes on the unit. "I didn't," he says. "They did." Indeed, the workers, men who a week ago were ready to revolt, now follow the plan with the pride of craftsmen, building something both new and right. Their shift logs are crisp and clear. Their weld maps are accurate. Their complaints are fewer, their pace faster. A foreman jogs over. "Unit 14 is fully tested, Ernie. Wiring's clean. Bulkheads sealed. Ventilation's in. Plumbing too. Even the racks are bolted in." Peterson blinks. "The bunks are installed already." The foreman nods. "Every mattress, every locker, every porthole. This thing could pass inspection right here." Carleton smiles. "That's the point." As the crane pivots, snowflakes swirl through the beams of light, making the steel look almost ghostly, like a floating room ripped from a battleship and suspended in the night air. The workers follow below, guiding it toward a set of temporary supports where it will rest until the next unit is ready. Peterson shakes his head in disbelief. "I never thought I'd see it. A complete compartment, finished before it ever touches the ship." Carleton folds his arms. "Get used to it." He turns, scanning the wide-open shed beyond the unit. At 3 different stations, teams work on Unit 6, Unit 22, and Unit 9 simultaneously. Sparks burst from seams. Pipes clatter as they're fitted. Electrical crews string wires with practiced precision. All of it choreographed. All of it connected. A young draftsman rushes up, breath fogging in the frigid air. "Mr. Carleton, the midnight shift logged completion notes for Unit 6. They're ahead of schedule by 12 hours. Carleton nods, reading the clipboard. "Tell them good work. And tell them they just gave the Pacific another 12 hours of breathing room." The draftsman grins and hurries off. Peterson looks at Ernie sideways. "You're starting to sound like a general." Carleton doesn't deny it. "This yard is a battlefield, Hal. Different weapons, same stakes." He watches as Unit 14 is finally lowered into place on its supports with a heavy metallic thud. Workers swarm around it, securing braces, checking alignment. "It's not enough to beat the enemy," Carleton says quietly. "We have to outrun them." A moment passes before he adds, "And the clock." January 26, 1943. Bath Iron Works, Slipway Number 2, 0650 a.m. The sun rises over the Kennebec River, turning the ice into sheets of sparkling orange and gold. Steam drifts from the warm interiors of the sheds, mingling with the cold air. Carleton and Peterson walk across the riverfront platform toward the destroyer hull. The skeletal ship looks different now, more alive, because today marks another first. Unit 14 is being moved to the slip. Dozens of workers clear a path as a massive transporter crawls forward, carrying the fully completed compartment like a steel monolith. Carleton walks alongside it, hands in his pockets, breath pluming in the frigid morning. One worker whistles. "Never thought I'd see the day we're hauling finished rooms to the keel." Another laughs. "Hell, I didn't think we'd finish anything a week early in my lifetime. Bascombe steps beside Carleton, arms still thick and posture still stern. But his expression has softened. "You were right," he grumbles. Carleton raises an eyebrow. "About what?" Bascombe gestures to the convoy of workers surrounding Unit 14. "This. The men. The flow. It works." There's a hint of admiration buried under the gruff tone. "And it's safer," Bascombe adds. "A lot safer." Carleton nods. That was the idea. Bascombe looks up at the destroyer keel waiting ahead. "So what happens now?" Carleton stops walking. He watches as cranes lock onto Unit 14, cables tightening with a metallic squeal. "Now," Carleton says softly, "we make history." He steps back as the crane operator begins the lift. The unit rises. Workers guide it carefully, shouting corrections through cupped hands. And then it happens. The first modular block of a Fletcher-class destroyer slides perfectly into place against the ship's skeletal frame. A moment of stunned silence follows. Then someone starts clapping. Another joins. Then dozens more. The applause rolls across the shipyard like thunder. Peterson leans over to Carleton. "You just changed shipbuilding." Carleton watches the unit settle onto the hull's alignment guides. "No," he says. "We just changed the war." Far off in the Pacific, carrier groups and destroyer screens battle for survival, unaware that reinforcements have just been born on a snowy morning in Maine.